We're back. The Real Matrix. Tell you what, first half hour we talked about Satanists and, a lot of stuff behind.
Bushes.
I want to do I think we talked in the beginning how the Bushes are in a bunch of nonsense. There's actually a humorous little video that I saw that basically goes over, but it makes a comparison of why haven't Hollywood come up with a miniseries documenting the history of the Bushes? That would really kind of tell you, again, is it not interesting? I think it's very interesting.
Right.
Why wouldn't it be interesting? There's a humorous little video that talks about why haven't they done this? Go ahead, play that, Riley.
Why haven't the networks made a TV movie of the week about how the Bush family made their family fortune? The movie could be called The Awful Truth, starring George W.'s great-grandfather, Samuel P. Bush, whose Buckeye Steel Castings Company supplies parts for Edward Harriman's railroads, who in turn provides rail shipments for John D. Rockefeller Standard Oil, who in turn gets monopoly financing from the Rothschilds. The movie could be made into a TV series starring Samuel's son, Prescott Bush, as the managing director of a Nazi steel manufacturing plant in Poland called Silesian Consolidated Steel. In episode 1, Prescott Bush forwards American financing to his German partner Fritz Thyssen through the Union Banking Corporation in New York. Fritz Thyssen arranges a contract with Nazi Germany's IG Farben Company for free Jewish slave labor in Bush's steel manufacturing plant at the Auschwitz concentration camp. Episode 2 shows Skull and Bonesman Prescott Bush and Averell Harriman getting caught under Trading with the Enemy Act as the U.S. government moves in and seizes all of their shares in Union Banking Corporation. In episode 3, Prescott's son, the first George Bush, is director of the CIA. George puts drug king Manuel Noriega on the CIA payroll, allowing thousands of tons of cocaine to hit the streets of America via the Panama Canal. In episode 4, George's son, the second George Bush, becomes partners with Osama bin Laden's older brother, Salem bin Laden, in a Texas oil company called Arbusto Energy. Episode 5 introduces George W.'s shady younger brother, Neil Bush, ripping off the elderly in the Silverado savings and loan scandal that cost U.S. taxpayers $1.3 billion. In episode 6, the Florida election is fixed by George W.'s older brother, Jeb Bush, who puts brother George into the top job at the White House, which brings us back to Auschwitz and the concluding episode with George W. Bush visiting the slave labor camp where his grandfather helped build the Bush family fortune on free Jewish slave labor.
It's a funny look at it. It's not very funny material.
No.
But all true. All true. See, there's probably documentation in libraries or online somewhere. Obviously, they try to get rid of a lot of this stuff, but you can find it. You can find it if you hunt it down, if you're interested in hunting it down. But these are true. So I'm not making any of this stuff up. These people are going through great lengths to try to tell the truth. And have you ever heard about it?
No, never seen or heard of that.
Never heard of it. Never. I would say 99% of all Americans are unaware of this.
Yes.
I think it's more than 99%, 99.5%. I mean, you think actually 1% of the public even knows this? I'm not even sure of that.
No, not all this stuff. No, I think
It's
that there's 1% of
amazing.
the public who might know about COVID, but going all the way back like that, no.
And remember, if you didn't see the first half of the show, Prescott Bush was involved in Nazi financing, and wouldn't if you were in an election Don't you think that'd be important that, hey, the guy running for president
His grandfather.
or father or grandfather, whichever Bush you want to talk about, is they were conspiring against America. I mean,
That makes no sense.
and yet we, as a country, voted these people in on 3 different occasions. Once for the older one and twice for the young one. 2 terms for junior and 1 term for senior. And I don't even have the time to get into the fact that, as you heard, George Bush was in the CIA. He was in the CIA in 1963. He was in Dallas at the time Kennedy was assassinated. I don't even have time to get into that.
George Bush was in the CIA?
Absolutely. He actually
Junior.
No, senior. Senior. That was George Bush Senior before he became president. He became president in the mid-'80s.
And he was in the CIA.
He was the CIA director, I think, in around 1970 for a year. George Bush Sr.
Okay.
was the CIA director.
I did not know that.
I didn't know it either. Why? Again, don't think that I've known all this for years and years and years. We had this conversation. I woke up during COVID and realized something's wrong here. And then you just go down the rabbit hole. The information that you go down the rabbit hole, or you come here and see us on The Real Matrix, it's astonishing.
Yeah.
But he was in the CIA, and maybe we'll get to this in another show, but we talked about this. You know, we're old enough that, well, I wasn't old enough, but my parents, your parents, when Kennedy was assassinated, everyone knew where they were when they heard about that, right?
Yes.
That's for us, our generation. Everyone should remember, if you're old enough, where you were when you heard that the planes hit the towers,
right,
on 9/11. It's in your mind.
Yes.
You can remember. They asked George Bush Sr., where was he when Kennedy was assassinated? And he goes, I don't really remember.
No. Nobody said, do you want to rethink that answer?
No. They all think that's weird. Unless maybe you were there and you were carrying on some kind of plot and you just go, I don't remember. I don't remember.
And you got away with it.
Yes. So he was a CIA director. Obviously, if he's a director, he was brought in by people who think like him. And then when he leaves, he brings in people that think like him.
Are you telling me are you going to one of these shows? You can tell me Walter Cronkite's somebody I can't believe?
No, Walter Cronkite was aces. Good point.
Was he?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. What I know so far.
If you burst that bubble, Dave, I'll never come back on.
And you're actually the thing is the news back then when we were younger, in the 70s, 80s, into that time, there were people that were reporters that looked for the truth. And we're actually going to show you some clips of them talking about some of this. They were interested in the truth. But as, again, time goes on, these criminals get their positions into these organizations, all media, and they hire people that think like them, that work like them, that want to further that agenda and keep truth away from people. So yeah, let's get to the next clip. I'm not sure what it is. I apologize, but we'll try to filter it out. Go ahead, Riley.
Bush is one of the most heinous criminals that's ever walked on the face of the earth. Bush is the man who's been a CIA agent since his college days. He's a member of the Skull and Bones, the Russell Trust. He was initiated in a casket with a ribbon tied around his genitalia, which symbolizes that he's a priest in the temple of Isis. A pagan, this guy. This man is a member of the mystery schools.
Well, he has the outward appearance of a good Christian, church-going Christian, though.
They do whatever they have to be approved by the people, but in secret, they're not at all. This is a man who practices pagan religious rituals, magic. Doesn't matter what you think of all these things. I'm just telling you, this is what he does in secret. He is the man who, when he was chief executive officer, when he was president of the offshore division of Zapata Oil, organized and began the first large-scale drug smuggling operations into this country. George Bush is the one responsible for the drugs on the streets. And the war against drugs is not a war against drugs, it's a war against the Bill of Rights. And we've already lost the Fourth Amendment in this war.
That's true.
And we're going to lose everything else.
That was the great Bill Cooper. Bill Cooper spoke out about this stuff. You can see that that's an older clip. He spoke out about this stuff in the 90s, 80s, 90s. Was actually killed by, I think it was FBI agents around 2005, 2006, right here in Arizona. He's buried here in Arizona.
Really?
Yeah, Bill Cooper. If you want to hear more truths, way more knowledgeable than me, look up Bill Cooper. You'll find information on him. Bill Cooper, the great Bill Cooper. He's on target with all of what he said. He was a man ahead of his time.
Did everybody, when he said stuff like that, did they just go, "You're off your rocker"?
Probably most. Exactly. And as you know, you can imagine how frustrating that is. I mean, when you think you have some information, we talked about COVID, and when COVID was happening, you're thinking, you don't need a mask. Masks don't do anything. It even says on the box,
Right.
Doesn't stop viruses. But forget about it. It might not even be a virus. It's probably a bacterial issue, but no one's ever caught up with that. We'll get into COVID in future shows. But when you look back and you say, I have some information, and you want to just try to share it with people, and they either refuse to listen, they're gaslit into their own thinking process. Terribly frustrating.
Yeah.
Terribly frustrating. So that wasn't the clip, but I think the next clip might be from ABC News in regards to, we're talking about these secret societies and where the Bushes came from. And I think the next clip I'm hoping is, it's going to have something to do with that in regards to this whole Skull and Bones and Bohemian Grove groups. Go ahead, Riley.
We're both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
wild.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number
page.
322?
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, a secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets, Tim, but one thing is not a secret. I disagree with this president's direction that he's taking the country. We can do a better job, and I intend to do it.
Tim Russert, the moderator of Meet the Press and NBC's Washington bureau chief, collapsed and died early this afternoon.
Was that because he pointed that out about Bush and Kerry? Or, how many people die? I mean, people die from heart attacks all the time. I think he was in his early 40s. Now, granted, he wasn't running marathons. He wasn't even as good a shape as you, Dale. And that's terrible. You're ready to go any day.
Wow.
But it's rare that...
Yeah.
It's rare, more rare. But
probably hard to autopsy it.
Right. And we're going to get into more issues in regards to... I did a show, and it's going to play eventually, about the fact that there's a congresswoman that said we sometimes assassinate people in other countries with this electronic warfare that causes heart issues or causes cancer. They said they can cause cancer with people. I'm like, I never heard of that.
No.
But again, it's not like I know when I'm bringing you this information. I'm learning all the time.
Right.
I'm not saying it can happen. I'm just saying that's a question. Someone who was in Congress, he did this interview with Tucker Carlson. His name was Weldon. He was a congressman, and he was part of some committee that was like really like the military committee or whatever.
Okay.
He's the one that said it. And this was back in, he knew about this in the early 2000s. I don't know. You tell me. Again, I don't know. I'm not telling you we can do this. I'm not telling you we can create heart attacks. I'm not telling you we can create cancer. But someone who is very, very, what's the word I'm looking for?
In the know.
Yeah, totally. I mean, they're like top notch.
Yeah.
they said they do that. Okay, you make up your own mind.
Don't you think that those two, when they were being interviewed by that research, that they okayed the questions?
Obviously no, because did you see how uncomfortable they were?
Yeah.
I never seen two politicians that uncomfortable in my life talking about skull and bones. And I think John Kerry did a great job of deflecting. He went right on to, in this administration, blah, 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 blah. George Bush had nothing to say. He was just like, oh, my God, we got to kill this guy.
At Yale.
Well, I tell you what, we'll play the next clip talking about skull and bones. I'm sure this is coming up.
Yale University is 300 years old this year, and were you to visit its campus, you would see that it still has exotic clubhouses, which look like tombs where Yale's legendary secret societies meet. Their prestige and importance have largely evaporated, but the rituals are still a secret. And so when we heard that some enterprising characters had managed to spy on the famous Skull and Bones Society, we couldn't resist. Here's ABC's Dan Harris.
The videotape provides a grainy glimpse into what appear to be the initiation rituals of a secret society that's been around since 1832, whose members have gone on to be leaders of Wall Street and the White House, the Senate and the Supreme Court.
They're sort of trying to scare the initiates, make them, disorient them, frighten them.
New York Observer investigative reporter Ron Rosenbaum accompanied a team of Yale students who shot these pictures 9 days ago. Rosenbaum's curiosity about Skull and Bones was permanently piqued when, as a classmate of George W. Bush, he lived right next to the Tomb, the group's heavily fortified home. From their perch, Rosenbaum and his cohorts taped the Tomb's courtyard. What they captured, they say, was initiates, known as neophytes, being forced to kiss a skull, then members performing a mock killing. It may look like your average fraternity nonsense, but Rosenbaum says it's not.
Even though it may seem silly to us, it seems to mean something to them, and you can't argue with the success of Skull and Bones.
True. Famous alums include senators John Kerry and John Chafee, to name two, cabinet secretaries such as Averell Harriman, and 3 presidents, William Taft, George Bush, and George W. Bush, who's been reluctant to talk about Skull and Bones.
Does it still exist? The thing is so secret, I'm not even sure it still exists.
In recent years, by many accounts, the on-campus influence and allure of Skull and Bones has waned dramatically, and there is no proof that the rituals recently caught on videotape are the same ones performed by the current president. Still, Rosenbaum says the tape is a valuable artifact, an extremely rare view into the secret society that groomed the American ruling class for generations. Dan Harris, ABC News, New York.
That's our report on World News Tonight. Don't forget Nightline.
So they did play it. They did talk about it. Yeah, you saw Peter Jennings like smiling, like, oh, those wacky politicians. They do those things. They do fake murders. Oh, they're crazy. Just crazy college kids.
Yeah, fraternity thing.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I didn't even get to this week, and we're running out of time. But these kind of very elite, high up in the government leaders go to this place called, in the north of San Francisco, it's called the Bohemian Grove Society. Yeah, they meet every year, and they do the same stuff.
It's in California.
It's in, like, where the Redwoods are. Maybe we'll touch on that one of these other shows. Yeah, they
never heard of it.
Of course not.
I didn't get invited.
No, you didn't. You might have missed it. If you don't go through your mail very closely, it looked like junk mail.
Because I've always said this back when I was in college. Like some people say you could join a fraternity. I said there's no way I'd allow them to do the things that they supposedly do to people rushing,
and that they wouldn't want you because that's the whole thing with the elites. It's blackmail. You heard Bill Cooper talk about how they with the genitalia. Actually, I'd go into greater detail of this. I don't even. We'll just play it another time. It's about masturbation and stuff and blah blah blah, and it's all so they can blackmail you. They get you to dress up like a woman. They blackmail you. If you're not willing to do it, you can't be controlled,
right?
And you're out. If they can't control you, you're out. But if they make you do things that are outrageous and you do it, you can be controlled. Then you can be blackmailed. You're in. That's how it works.
So are you telling me you're not a member of Skull and Bones?
Dale, I can't even get, my wife can't even get me to take out the garbage. So anyway, I tell you what, we're running out of time, but I do want to play. I know you probably heard this, but it would kind of wrap up this whole Bush thing, this whole show. It's the fact that we had a president who, his father, Prescott Bush, was trying to overthrow the government. Then he gets in the government. Instead of just overthrowing it because you can't, there's too many stops, like the Congress won't let you do that. It's not like he's a president. It's not like he's a king. Although we're getting to that point, and we'll talk about in other shows, that this executive order stuff, that's not the way our government was made to work. But if you work subvertly, that's how you infiltrate. And we'll talk about President Kennedy talking about this in a speech. But I want to play this clip again from George Bush Sr. He made this speech more than a handful of times, more than a couple times, or it was at least a couple times, talking about how we should give up all our power and sovereignty to the United Nations. Let them run the world. That's a one world government. That's a new world order. That's where you give up your freedoms. We're going to give up our voice as citizens and let these maniacs in the United Nations,
who are not elected,
dictate to us how we live, what we do, where we go. The president of the United States made this speech. Now, this speech happened when I think Iran war was going on. That's how it starts out. But he gets into this. Play that real quick again as a reminder, Riley.
I'm hopeful that this fighting will not go on for long and that casualties will be held to an absolute minimum. This is an historic moment. We have in this past year made great progress in ending the long era of conflict and Cold War. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
That's scary. That's scary.
You know, I remember the speech. I was old enough that I remember.
Really?
It's in the late 80s, so it might have been high school. Maybe I had to do homework on it, whatever, who knows. And I remember that. And I remember the conversation of what he made the comment to say, do away with wars. We'll just have one group run everything because conflict comes when you have this group leaders and this group leaders and these argue with these guys and these are fighting and they don't want. But if you have just one, who are you going to fight with? But if they're doing something you don't like, what's your alternative?
Right.
That's why one world government, new world order is loss of freedoms, loss of life as we know it. Forget it. And these maniacs that are running everything, if they had all the power, they'd just line you up against the wall and shoot you. And that's what happened in many countries when they brought on socialism, communism. More people have died from those conflicts in regards to their own government, their own people who, when they took over, they said, you're useless. That's it. And I'm out, and we don't need you. I mean, it happened in Russia. It happened in China. It happened, you name the country, and it was a disaster. When you don't have freedoms, when you don't have a voice as a people.
Well, if you don't have checks and balances.
That's correct. There's no no checks and balances, and that gets us to the point of all these executive orders. Now, right now, if you're a Republican and Trump's in there, you're like, oh yeah, go ahead, just tell them to do this, tell them to do that, tell them to do this, tell them to do that. Let's go. But what happens 4 years from now when maybe someone gets in there that you don't agree with?
Right.
And they say, yeah, you're in a concentration camp. You're worthless. You're in jail. Where do we go from here? Executive orders, that's not the way our country was set up. And our country was set up as a republic, not a democracy. And we'll get into that. We'll maybe do that in another show in the future. Show the difference between what a democracy is and what a republic is. Famously, they fought over that, or the founders of our country, when they decided, how are we going to set up this government?
Right.
And it was either a democracy or a republic. And when they convened and they came out and someone asked, well, what is it? And Ben Franklin said, it's a republic if you can keep it. And right now, if Ben Franklin was here, he's not here, but he's rolling over in his grave because we're not keeping it. It's it's great to have voice, but a republic gives you the freedom to, and I forgot the verbiage now. It's the pursuit of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Right.
That's a republic. But it's not, hey, you are going to be forced to do things because the majority want it. That's a democracy. And that's where we send people, we vote allegedly, and it's not this way anymore. It was set up this way, that you vote for someone and they're your representative, and you have a voice in regards to which direction you go. You have a representative. But it's not just if everyone voted said, hey, now it's this and we do this. That's really not how the country was set up. We need to probably go into that a little further. And you would think that in our school system, they would teach that. No. Again, that's really one of the most tragic things of our country right now is our educational system. I mean, why don't they teach things that are pertinent to people? I know kids that graduate college, they don't know how to balance a checkbook. They don't know basic living tools. We teach them. I don't even know what they're teaching in school. Do you?
Well, I'm fixing to find out with the grandkid going into kindergarten.
And that's why it's important to have choice, because honestly, I don't think in many schools your kids are getting anything other than indoctrinated into a woke society. And homeschooling should be an important choice that people can make. Now, will there be people that abuse that privilege and don't really teach their kid and they end up not succeeding in life? Well, I don't know if it's going to be any better if they go to school and still don't learn anything and now they're just angry. So what's the point? I don't know. I don't have answers, honestly, but I'm just saying.
You have a lot of questions.
Yeah, it's just a question. And I always feel that the freedom of choice is always better. Our freedoms as Americans are more crucial than being, what we're at right now. We're really told what to do. I mean, it was just 4 or 5 years ago that if we didn't get the vaccination, you tell me, Dale, your mother was in a rehab facility. You couldn't see your mom because you weren't vaccinated by a a vaccine that you don't know what was in it,
Right.
and you didn't know what results would happen to it. I mean, what world are we living in? That does not sound like the freedom of America that when I grew up, I was expecting. And so, unfortunately, that puts us right into the real matrix that we're in. I'm so sorry. I tell you what, I know we're running out of time soon. So
No, you're out of time. Like 5 minutes over time.
Then we're done. We're out of here. Hey, but we will be back next week, and we'll be here stuck in the real matrix. Come join us.
Still?
Still.
Want to make your love life sizzle like a Phoenix summer? Summit Male Medical guarantees to help you with ED or premature issues, or we won't charge you. We've helped tens of thousands of patients here in the Valley since 2008. Please compare our most experienced medical staff and low-price treatments to anybody. If you've talked to the rest, it's time to come to the best. Put the sizzle back in your love life. 480-398-1000 or go to summitmalemedical.com. Summit Medical, love for life.